Okay, so we're going to get started. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us today for Working with Filters. Great webinar. I just looked through the presentation, and you're in for a real treat. Lee Hermon has put in lots of effort into this next webinar, talking all about filters from the value level to dashboard to the widget level. As usual, you're more than welcome to ask questions as we go along in the questions box, and this webinar will be recorded and sent to you after with more materials that Lee has put together for you guys. Lee, why don't you take it away?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Lee Herman. I'm an engagement manager at Sisense, and today we're going to have some fun with filters. We will begin with the business questions that we will address today. We will review the basic filtering capabilities, and then review each filter level, starting from the dashboard level, the widget level, and the value level. At any time during the session, please submit your questions in the chat box, which I will address throughout the session. So to put ourselves in the mood, make yourselves comfortable. I would like you to connect with your inner business user. Take a deep breath. Now picture yourself sitting in your gold-woven hammock of your Australian beach house. You are a world-famous photographer who also happens to run a successful e-commerce business. As part of preparing next year's budget, you pull up the laptop to see those numbers that make you feel so good. While the question in mind is, which department should enjoy next year's marketing budget? This question we're going to break into three. First, we would like to see what is the annual revenue in the Australian market for 2013. Next, we are going to show the seven top selling product categories in that market at that time. And the next question will be, we would like to see the revenue trends for the digital cameras market, to see our target audience's revenue trends, and to see overall all categories' revenue trends. So now let's dive into the data. We are going to be using the sample e-commerce Elastic Cube that comes with every Sisense installation. You have it on your local installation as well. And what are we looking at? We'll be focusing on the following data set, which is a fact field that we're going to be measuring the revenue. And then 4 dimension fields, which is going to be brand, category, country, and year. So essentially we're looking at sales and we can break that by a date, a specific country, specific product category, and a brand within that category. So before you set out to frame your success as a e-commerce business owner, we should check the equipment and see which filter types you have and what abilities you can use. So we have 3 types of filters, of basic filters. These are the text filters, date filters, and numeric filters. The text filter has a few tabs. Most of these are available on all other filters. The first tab here is the list. It allows us to either exclude specific values or include the values that we want, either as a multi-select, or we can switch this to be a single select. Next is the text tab that allows us to apply logic of the text. So we can say, oh, let's choose all values that begin with GP, or anything that contains MA. So we can get a little preview of what we will get, and we can add conditions just like that. So we're looking here at the category dimension. Possibly we might want to add to get all top categories by specific measure. And we can do that by choosing that measure. So if we look at the top 10 revenues, you can see which categories is going to bring up the categories for the top 10, for top 3 revenue for now, or the bottom 3. And let's move on. We'll see those in one moment. The next filter is the date filter, which similarly to the text also has a selection, but it also offers a calendar, which allows us to choose a specific time period. So we can set a start date and an end date. This can be also dynamic, so we can choose from the earliest date available and play around with that. Then, if we want to choose a dynamic time period, we would go to the time frame tab. This allows us to, for example, take the last 2 months from today. Now, say if we wanted to get the last 4 months, how would we do that? It doesn't show in the built-in filtering, so we would go to the closest filter that is most similar to what we want, and then go to the advanced. The advanced is going to show us now the underlying JSON querying language. So this is a manual way to change the filter. In this particular case, we can count back 4 months instead of 2, and the offset here says it's going to start from previous months. Let's say we wanted to start in this month, the count. You can test that and see the results there. And we can just set that for now, or we can save it. Now we can start with the little star right here, give it a name, and now we'll find it. We and the other designers in the Sisense environment can find this filter and use it. As well as the viewers, they can pick this filter that we already preset for them. And then finally, the numeric filter. This, as well as the other things, allows us to add logic to numeric values. So we can choose any value between 50 and 200, for example. And that would filter the revenue in this case. So this gives us a nice introduction to our dashboard filters. These filters affect all widgets in a dashboard, and they are seen and controlled by the viewers. So it is our way to hand our business users controls, and we can set it up in different ways. We can lock filters, set background filters, dependent and default filters. We will now see all of these as we answer the next question. So we wonder, what is the annual revenue in the Australian market for 2013? So here's a little question to you. Use the chat box to answer the following. So we were now to play a little Lego. We have two sets. One set of data shows us all countries and all dates, and represented by this circle right there. And the other set is showing us only data for Australia and specifically 2013. So which of the diagrams below would represent in the most accurate way our selection, where our selection is represented by the yellow color? I'll give you a few moments to think about that and send your question in the chat box for me to see. All right. So, thank you. So the correct answer in this case is B. So we see here we're just taking a subset of the total. It will be a dashboard filter that we're going to now apply. And let's see how we do that in Sisense Web. So if we began, we would like to see the annual revenue. So let's first add a new widget that would sum the revenue. And I'll just I'll hop into the advanced configuration. You know what, let's stick in the dashboard. So we see this number that would show the total revenue. Right now we're seeing it for this larger circle for everything. There are no filters applied. And we're now going to go and add those filters for the country. We're just going to pick one country at the moment. And that's now we're seeing the data for Australia in general. And so we as designers would like to lock this filter up for our users, so they will be able to see that we applied this filter, but they won't be able to change it. No longer, there won't be any way for them to change it through the filtering here. And that's our first capability of locking filters. Next, we'll add another filter now for the year. So this is going to be our date dimension. And we're going to pick 2013 for now. But say we wanted them to be able to switch from one year to another. We can basically add a background filter, which is going to restrict the values of the filter. And we do that by first setting the values that we want to expose. And let's pick just 2 for now. And then going here, we can set a background filter, which now kind of just represents those values. And our users can go, when they go to edit, they only see those. And again, we can switch this to a single select as well to make it a little easier. Then, just for fun, so right now we're seeing the numbers for Australia in 2013. Now, just for fun, let's add another category filter for product category, and have a quick look at our digital camera category. Now, we can add another dependent filter. It's or a cascading filter. We do that by going to this plus sign. And so since each category has different brands under it, we can add this cascading filter in which when we choose a specific category, the brand values here are going to update according to that category. So only brands that show in calculators category will show here. And then our users can pick from those. It's going to save them a little some time, so it's going to be a little more friendly, so they don't see all possible brands for every time. So these are our cascading categories. And finally, once we're ready and we're happy with the set of filters that we set on a dashboard, we can set them as default filters. So these are the filters that will show up by default on this dashboard, and our users can always revert back to those. Even after they've changed some things, they would always get back to these. All right, so let's reset that for now. And any questions that you have, please post. Let me know if everything is clear. All right. So the next question that we're going to tackle is and we're going to see through that, the next question, the widget filters. We're going to drill down into that, and then the question and what really is typical for widget filters is they affect one widget at a time. They precede the dashboard filters, meaning if we set a filter both in the dashboard level and on the widget level on the same field, the widget filter is going to take precedence and override the dashboard filter. And finally, they're controlled by designers. So although viewers may be able to see them, they're not going to be able to control them. So the next question is, we would like to see we saw this number for the how much revenue we got for Australia in 2013. We'd like to know what are the seven top selling product categories. And so right now we're going to go back and play our game and see if we have a set of Australia 2013, and then we have a set of the top 7 by revenue, which diagram would represent what we were trying to capture. And a little hint here, the top 7 is going to be a dynamic set. Okay, so I'll give you just a couple of moments. All right, so the right answer in this case is B as well, because it is going to be another subset of the Australian 2013 market where we captured dynamically the top 7. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add a widget which would count the revenue, and we would like also to include categories. Break that by category. Now let's go to the advanced configuration and switch this visualization to a bar chart. And now we really see all of the categories with all of their different revenues, but now we just want to focus on specific ones. And I'm going to add a filter on the category and rank it. So we pick the top 7, and it already knows that we want to look at revenue because that's our value. The top 7, and we get our best-selling categories here. Now note that we have the dashboard filters still applied, so we are looking at this circle, this outer circle of specific year, specific country, and from that we're picking the top 7. We can toggle each of the dashboard filters off so they don't apply, and that's going to change our data, or altogether any dashboards filters. Okay, so let's add that. Now if we put that right next to there, we can really pick one of these categories that we would like to update. Once we select it, it's going to update the dashboard filter. So I just picked cell phones, it's updated here, which is in turn going to update all the widgets on this dashboard. Now, say that we want to focus on the digital camera market. We as digital camera enthusiasts, send selfies. We post our filtered images everywhere, and we feel that there is a potential there for that market. So instead of using we would like maybe now to create a widget that specifically always serves us data for the digital camera market. And so we'll add a new widget. And now we're going to be looking into value filters. These are going to affect a single value. You'll see what I mean in a moment. And these are going to precede the widget and dashboard filters. So if we set filters on dashboard level, on the widget level, and value level, the value level is going to win and override the widget and dashboard filters. And also they are controlled by designer only. They're not controlled by the viewers. And it has a special syntax that we're going to apply within the formula of the value. So the question that we're going to ask is, what is the revenue trend for digital markets, for digital cameras? We're going to take the Australian 2013 and somehow incorporate it with the digital cameras set. So how, this time, how would you think the diagram would look like, considering this is showing us all the digital cameras set worldwide and all time, while this is showing us just sales that were made in Australia 2013. All right. So in this case, we're looking at an intersection of these two filters. We'll apply the widget filter on digital camera, and a dashboard filter is going to remain on Australia 2013. The area here would show us sales for this digital camera category that is not in Australia, or it's not in 2013, whereas the yellow is exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and implement that. We're going to bring in the revenue sum. And to see a trend, we want to see that over time, so we will add the months, break it by month. Let's go to the advanced configuration and view this as a column chart. Now, we want basically to add here a filter on the widget level. And we are going to do that for the category. So this widget serves us only for the digital camera market. And we will do that through here as well. Okay. Okay, now I don't really need to disable the dashboard category because as we said, the widget filter is going to override it anyway. All right, so we answered our first question. We see the revenue for the digital camera market. And just to show that a little more clearly, I'll expand this. And we'll see, let's just move that up there. And we can see that sales in the beginning of the year were a little slow, but they kind of picked up as the year continued. And now we want to know, we care mostly about our target audience. We know that our target audience, our core market is 35 to 44-year-olds. And so we would like to see how they by with that considering the trend, the general trend. So here we want to see the Australian 2013 and digital market for our specific target audience. And the diagram that we'll be looking at here is going to be an intersection of all the three filters. It's going to include the dashboard, the widget, and the value filters. How would we do that? The value filters can be set through the formula here, where the aggregation is the first argument that we need. I'm going to wrap these with parentheses. And for the second argument, I'm going to add a field that we're going to filter by. So we're summing up the revenue, where age range is 35 to 44. Okay. So now we really see the, we can see next to the general, if we go ahead and add that again, the general sum of revenue. The general sum of revenue, which is going to be read again. We have our target market, the 35 to 44 trend. So if we wanted, we could add another filter here on the same value. We could look at our 35 to 44-year-olds that shop for a specific brand. And we would add another field here, filter that as well. And we know that Shannon is a very successful brand. We want to see how that does next to another brand. I'm just going to copy that into a new value. And just changing the filter here, I want to see Shannon next to Nikki. And these two brands have, they might have different type of trends. Let's have a quick look. So we see that they all follow the general categories trends, but they have some distinctions to them. And next, we might want to see a little bit more. We want to know, all right, what would be the revenue trend for all product categories? And in this case, although we're filtering on the dashboard level and the widget level on category, right now we want to see another line here that will disregard all the category filters. And we can do that with a special function in a similar method, where we go and let's just copy and paste that, and we here, instead of using those filters, we can use the all function, which we can find documentation for here, and the categories filters will go inside of this. And this is really going to kind of override, and we see here. So this is going to override both the widget filter and the widget filter. Because the value filter is, again, the strongest for this value, it's going to disregard that, and it will show just the revenue trend for the Australian market in 2013, and we did not add any age range filtering here Okay, let's see what we got. So, and let's see this from the perspective of a viewer. So what do they see after all of this? So this is our viewer. Just pull that up. Okay. 1 second. Oh. So we'll just have to publish this to our viewer. And instantly, we refresh the view here. They will see our dashboard that we created for them, which shows them, and we can see what they can access, what they cannot access. First, it shows a big number of the total revenue for the Australian market in 2013. They can switch between those categories, and also right now they're filtering on the digital cameras. So to see the total revenue of all categories, we'll just have to include all. These are the numbers. And then we see the top 7 top selling products. And then to drill into that, we can say we can see the digital markets, digital camera market, and view the different trends of our different the target audience and the general of all categories. Now, if we wanted to add some notes here, we would go about it this way. Or even change the visualization to perhaps a line. And to view this better, there's a big gap here, so we might put this on the right axis. It's a little more readable, a little more friendly. Always a good idea is to have our business users give us feedback on the initial dashboard. It's a good idea, as this is always going to be, there's going to be something you hadn't thought of before. So we answered those few questions. We now know we can kind of relax back in our hammock in the Australian beach house and send this out to our VP of marketing and really be happy that we know more or less where we want to focus our sales, our marketing budget, and using all the 3 different levels of filtering. Please submit any questions that you have, things that were not clear. I'll be happy to address them. Okay, I would like you all for joining and participating. I hope to see you. We hope to see you again in our next webinar. So thank you and have a great rest of your day.